Good morning and a big thank you for joining us on Nigerian Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, 2S Television. Thank you again, Mr. Adeboye, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
How you doing?
Very fine.
Good. Let's go straight to the business of today. I will begin with the Daily Times newspaper. From the very top, we'll talk to terrorist bandits in language they understand. That's coming from the Chief of Army Staff, and that story can be found on page 2 of the Daily Times. The gaping headline there is ban on Twitter to be lifted soon, coming from federal government. Two riders. The first says government not unmindful of anxiety of Nigerians, and the second, FEC approves 38.4 billion naira for completion of road project in 5 states. We see a story just under the Daily Times tag there. That is labor dispute, the need for federal government to tread the path of Anna. Just underneath the pictures of the day there, the banner headline, Presidency to Media, focus on core issues of Buhari's program. That can be found on page 2. But let's go straight to the banner headline, and that is ban on Twitter to be lifted soon, coming from the federal government. It's been a couple of months now since we've had the ban on Twitter, and came into a lot of controversies, came into a lot of discuss, interviews and everything, and we're still out of Twitter officially. What is your take on this recent story, this recent development on the ban on Twitter to be lifted soon by the federal government?
Well, it's a good. It's going to be a good development, and what many Nigerians are yearning to see in a very short while. Though there are a lot of controversies, the government saying many people have used this platform, to incite violence and all of that. But we must also consider the positive aspect that this platform is a medium or a platform in which many Nigerians are making ends meet. So it's a good something, because just a couple of days ago we reported that a particular platform reported that many billions of naira, I think about 20 something billion dollars, just over 100 days of this ban. So you can imagine that huge amount of money that Nigerians, has lost, to this ban. So it's going to be a very good and welcome development if Nigerian government can do this as they said.
Okay, we see that story replicated on the Blueprint newspaper. That's under the picture of the day. This says Nigeria to lift ban on Twitter in a few days. That's coming from federal government. And the rider there is, we are dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That can be found on page 18 of the Blueprint newspaper. From the very top of that same newspaper, that's Blueprint, Shell's asset divestment in Nigeria suffers setback over forex scarcity. That can be found on page 21. And then inflation eases for 5th consecutive time to 17.01% ahead of MPC meeting. That can be found on page 21 as well. And we see that story there, Osun, Akwa Ibom, OK anti-open grazing laws. The rider there is offenders risk 3-year jail, 3.3 million naira fine. We see that stories on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. And this is Nigeria's public debt now, 36 trillion naira, coming from DMO. The banner headline there is Gbajabiamila, miscreants, criminals in Southwest East, not different from Boko Haram, ISWAP. 4 others are sit at home, war brought on yourselves, Umahi tells separatists, and be mindful of IPOB, presidency warns Yoruba Nation protesters. Is IPOB sit at home powerful than go to work order, group queries government. Lawmakers want freedom for Nnamdi Kanu. All of that can be found on page 6. And then just beneath the newspaper there is Senate defers presentation of 2022 to 2024 MTEF FSP report. And then police saying Hamilton for Emir was abducted. That can be found on page 13. Apple devices iOS versions 14.4 and 14.6 under attack. NITDA warns. That can be found on page 22. Importers, manufacturers, others lament as Naira approaches 600 Naira per dollar. And let's talk about the Osun, Akwa Ibom, OK anti-open grazing laws that can be found on page 6. With this story has, lingered and stayed on the front burner of the newspapers and also the news platforms recently, talking about the grazing laws, and now we're having Osun State and Akwa Ibom State OK in it. What's your take on this?
Well, this is telling us that it's really sending a strong message to the Nigerian government, I mean, at the federal level and the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Malami, on the position that they want to revisit, the grazing route of the whole of the year. So it's a very good development, and it's something citizens of this state, have been looking forward to seeing. So, and to my own understanding, is going to curtail, even though not maximally, but to a large extent, is going to curtail these herders, farmers clash and all of that, because over time we have seen scenarios and cases whereby they say the herders, are the ones, are taking their cows, to go to people's farm, hit people's goods and all of that. And there is no way you just, bring your animals to my farm, destroy my farm, and at the end of the day, you are still telling me that there is nothing I can do because you have somebody somewhere backing you up and all of that. So, having a kind of law that's going to put an end to this is a welcome development, and it's a strong message, to the center that their position is on the contrary, to what people, are expecting, in their respective states.
All right, let's move straight to Daily Trust newspaper. From the very top, we see 2023, North set to pick PDP ticket as Southwest leaders demand chairmanship. Besides that, we see Nigeria's debt profile hit 35.4 trillion naira. We can find out on page 18 of the Daily Trust. In stamp duty, Malami writes 36 governors, says no recoveries. The banner headline there is Naira's free fall continues as Nigerians rush to hold dollars. A couple of others on that story. We see the picture of the day, a very gory sight there. How fighter jet killed locals in Yobe State. That can be found on page 6. We've seen this happen this year again. I think the beginning of this year, somewhat January, February, we had something like this in Borno State, if I'm not mistaken. I have seen a fighter jet, killing some innocent people, and now it's happening again. What message is this passing to Nigerians?
It is very sad. Because anytime that of Borno State, I think it happened in April, and where about 17 minors were killed.
Oh, April this year?
Yes,
okay.
So it was a pathetic incident, and this tells us that there is a technical problem, with our troops, and there is need for them to address this with immediate effect, because they cannot keep on explaining to us how this happened. How is it going to... nobody is going to derive joy from this. You see people sitting somewhere, maybe they are playing around, and all of a sudden, on the pretense that you want to fight the terrorists and you want to neutralize them, and you are just killing innocent people. So it is high time they stop giving us this narrative. Whatever the problem is, they should try to identify the root and solve it with immediate effect. So all this should stop. It's a very pathetic situation that we cannot continue, to experience as a nation.
All right. Because of time, we just talk about, this is Business Day. The banner headline there is rising GDP growth, slowing inflation, unlikely to pave way for rate cut. A couple of other stories there on the Business Day newspaper. And the Nigerian News Direct, that is revenue shortfall. Federal government writes 36 state governors demands recovery of over 4 years stamp duties backlog. And we have a couple of other stories right there on the front pages of the Nigerian News Direct and the Business Day newspaper. So just grab yourself a copy and read upon them. And also stay updated on our website and our social media platforms. The website is www.tostvnetwork.com. And our social media platform handle is at TOSTV Network across all of the social media platforms at your disposal. Thank you again for joining us on this edition of Nigeria Now for today. Please join us tomorrow again. I remain Merciful Ajinimo. Many thanks for watching.